Taking soundings in the deep ocean was and long remained a laborious and time-consuming task, and knowledge of the undersea topography lagged considerably behind our acquaintance with the landscape of the near side of the moon. Over the years, methods were improved.
Make sure that in the read aloud you're very clear. Okay, so open and close your mouth properly to make sure that the software picks up your words. One way to test out how good your clarity is, or what is the kind of clarity that you need on the test, use the Google speech recognition. Okay, pick up your phone, go to the whatever the hello Google functionality. If you have an Apple, you can also do it with Siri, whatever you want to do, and give it directions. Okay, call such and such person on my phone, or search for whatever, right? And see if it does that. Okay, so maybe when you speak for the first 3-4 times, it's probably not going to do what you asked, because maybe your speech is not being translated correctly, right, in terms of it being picked up by the software. So that could be due to your volume, due to how you speak, right, due to your energy level at that time, all those things. So speaking is very, very subjective. You need to get it evaluated. I mean, I can tell you 10,000 errors, right, that someone can have in their speaking, but it will be different for different people. So if you look at this list, right, another thing on the list is do not read things mechanically. That means you cannot be flat and mechanical and monotonous, but you also cannot be over dramatic, like too much of fake variations and fake voice modulations, right? It has to be still very, very natural. So there is that optimal balance of the two extremes, right? Not too mechanical and not too dramatic, right? So knowing where that balance is, I mean, that's something that only comes if you are getting your speech evaluated, assessed, or getting feedback on it. You yourself will not get to know, right? Again, the important thing when it comes to intonation, as given in the score guide, that means pauses and stresses, right? And again, the pauses and stresses, now a lot of you have asked me that we are very confused, where should we take a pause, where there is a comma should we take a pause, where there is a full stop. Obviously comma and full stop do very clearly indicate that there is a place where you have to take a small pause, right? But what about other places? There are sometimes pauses even without punctuation. So what's the whole end goal of all these pauses and stresses? It is simply to highlight the meaning of the sentence. Okay, now listen to these two sentences and see if you felt it differently. Okay, I'm not put the text here, right? So just giving you the audio, so just you can actually make out the difference, right? Professor Smith is going to be late for today's lecture, which was going to be at 7 p.m. Professor Smith is going to be late for today's lecture, which was going to be at 7 p.m. So can you see that just by inserting different pauses, I messed up the meaning of the sentence? So this is very, very common, and for a simple sentence we can actually tell very clearly what the pauses should be, where they should be. But sometimes now on read aloud these days, you have a lot of single sentences, lengthy sentences, right, wherein you might not be able to carry the meaning of the sentence, right? So you're taking some abrupt pauses, or you're not able to figure out. So imagine how news anchors speak, right? They give proper pauses, and they make sure that even if it is a long sentence, it still makes proper sense. That is the whole aim of these pauses and stresses, to give and to highlight the meaning of the sentence. Okay, the professor is the person. What is the action that he does? He is going to be late. At what time is the lecture? That is another group. So these are groups or phrases, as we call them, right? Okay, meaningful groups of words that when put together form a full sentence, right? So learning the concept of phrases is going to be useful, but the best way to learn that, if you are going wrong in this, is to listen to natural speakers of English, right? Again, I can recommend BBC Radio, BBC News, CNN News, maybe even Al Jazeera, wherever you have a good English news channel which showcases a variety of accents, and you have a lot of these pauses and stresses coming in, so you'll actually realize that, oh, Barack Obama is going to take that measure and he will direct all his energies towards achieving that aim, which will then lead to something. So all these are different groups which indicate a certain meaning. If you change the stress, if you change the pause, Barack Obama is going to take different measures for all these things. Like, can you see that was mechanical reading? This is also known as staccato, that you're taking a pause after every 2 words, right? You're going in a very, very mechanical fashion. So there are 100 ways that you can mess up on the read aloud. Read aloud is perhaps the biggest contributor to your fluency scores, right? Because that is where you actually read out sentences as is, right? So you will really mess up your fluency if you're not careful. Again, I hope that this video helped you. Please don't stress, please focus on building your natural speech. It's not a one-day job. So again, don't stress, don't get too self-conscious. That is another thing, that if you just start nitpicking and if you feel like, oh, every word I speak is wrong, no, just know that there is a different way that you speak normally at home, and there is a different way that you need to speak for a little while on the test. You don't have to be a naturally wonderful speaker to rock the test, but just for those 30 minutes of speaking on the test, you have to practice, that you have to be clear enough and proper enough that you get those marks, right? Okay.